Hi Earthlings, welcome to Redditamin, a channel focused on trending Reddit posts and top comments.
Basically, what we want to start with here, what is disrespectful to you as an individual? So if you look up the meaning on Google, it's impolite, rude, showing no courtesy, but I believe it's a lot deeper when you think about disrespectful behavior to a partner. I believe in a relationship that disrespectful behavior is disregard for another's feelings and a lack of empathy. Because when you show up with someone and you're a couple, you are actually projecting and showing others who you are as a team.
Has anyone ever had a relationship with a man who complained about being disrespected who wasn't abusive? I listen to a lot of true crime, and have recently noticed a theme with men who are eventually accused of domestic abuse or murdering their partners. They often have a history of getting upset about being disrespected. Is this ever not a red flag? Pretty much every time I've heard that from my dad, or and so I was about to get hit. Have a thing I love destroyed. Spend hours listening to what a worthless bee I am. People with a fragile ego cannot stand to have their authority challenged in any way. It really does depend on context. I was a passive friend with a guy who always felt disrespected by their female who was obviously abusive to him. Social embarrassment, manipulation, constantly demeaning the guy, that sort of effed up stuff. But in that case, the guy complained about it less in an angry way, more in a I don't think I can go on with this relationship sort of way. So the tone of the I'm being disrespected is absolutely important. No matter the case, you'll notice, someone is being abusive, and that relationship will only get worse with time. I've never heard a man in this scenario, myself included, use the phrase being disrespected. I've always said things like she's really mean to me, or in the worst case I think I'm being emotionally abused. To be clear, these people were absolutely not respecting me, but I wasn't fixated on that. I just wanted them to stop hurting me. I'm reminded of the thing that does the rounds online every so often. Sometimes people use respect to mean treating someone like a person, and sometimes they use respect to mean treating someone like an authority. And sometimes people who are used to being treated like an authority say if you won't respect me I won't respect you, and they mean if you won't treat me like an authority I won't treat you like a person. And they think they're being fair, but they aren't, and it's not okay.
I know that I was in a relationship that I had to end recently because I was being very disrespected.
That's so frustrating. They will probably only see it if they realize that this arrangement in society where women are in submission to men isn't working out for men and is harming them and resulting in real losses to men, and the men who are doing less of it and feel less entitled to it are having a better life and thriving and prospering more. Being disrespected is misogyny talk for someone who demands control, obedience, servitude, practices oppression and abuse to ensure their needs are the only important and relevant aspects of a relationship.
When this occurs, when you start to feel disrespected in any type of relationship, it's best to approach the person about it, talk to them to let them know how you feel, and you may have to talk to them maybe, 2 or 3 times.
My ex-husband, who was a narcissist, always told me I needed to respect him more. I have never had a history of disrespecting anyone, nor did anyone ever tell me that. I didn't listen to him and follow his orders all the time, and that was disrespectful to him. Needless to say, he is my ex now. No, someone who loves you doesn't demand respect, they ask for understanding.
And if the situation doesn't resolve itself and it gets worse, then it's probably time to go ahead and terminate the relationship.
As I understand it, behavior like that could be a part of a high control relationship. So not necessarily physically abusive, yet, but abusive in a mental or emotional way. But even if it doesn't progress to outward violence, it takes a toll on the person being abused. My old boss used to fly off the handle if he felt disrespected. Specifically, he would decide you weren't listening and lose his shit. He screamed at me twice in a recurring meeting for what, I still don't know. He was never able to articulate any feedback. At least there was a witness who was his peer to protect my career. He also yelled and stormed out of a meeting with an executive and bragged about how he'd shown them. I figured out how to not set him off, so mostly work was fine, but I'm still sad for his kids.
We have to play games then we are with the wrong person. Then they can go mess up someone else's love life. The solution is very simple. It is that we clearly, kindly, but clearly state that we want to be treated differently.
Example: respect and disrespect is sort of a respect is in the eye of the beholder thing. What a high status person calls disrespect might be a low status person asking for equality. Men in general have more status in society than women. When a high status person says a low status person doesn't respect them, it's often code for that person won't let me dominate them in a way that I feel entitled to and which is my right. For a high status person to claim they respected a low status person, well, that is often a very, very low bar. Like, I was respectful, I didn't kill her even though that was my right. I showed a tremendous amount of respect and care. I went so above and beyond what I should have to do.
Speaking of entitled egomaniacs who see themselves as superior, according to a CNN article from June 2014, Aaron Hernandez's anger over two trivial incidents linked to killing. In July 2012, Hernandez is charged with fatally shooting two men in a car after one of them, a stranger, bumped into Hernandez on the dance floor at a nightclub, causing the athlete to spill his drink, according to Boston's district attorney. Hernandez felt he was being tested, a friend is quoted as telling investigators, prompting Hernandez to follow the men out of the club and kill them in a drive-by shooting. That same friend, identified in court papers as Alexander Bradley, is now suing Hernandez for allegedly shooting him in the face and leaving him for dead in an industrial park in South Florida in February 2013. Prosecutors say Hernandez felt disrespected by Bradley because he challenged him after the football player refused to return to a strip club to retrieve Bradley's cell phone.
I once dated this guy who would see dirty dishes in the sink and say that made him feel disrespected in his own home. Like, dude, I live here too. I also literally just made dinner. Also, you just ate that dinner, went to put your dish in the sink, saw the dishes, and now suddenly I'm disrespecting you. Something tells me this isn't about the dishes. The former, basic respect, is totally justifiable to complain about sometimes. As women, we're often the first ones who feel violated, because dudes talk about us and look at us like we're not even here sometimes. It's ridiculous and a cornerstone of misogynist garbage. The latter, professional respect, even sometimes becomes an issue. I'm a capable instructor of a number of combat styles, and I've had students just straight up disrespect and make fun of me because I don't fit the picture or couldn't possibly have that kind of experience. I can't exactly earn that back through normal ways. I'm teaching the art of organized violence. The best I can do is roll with the male instructors to prove my competence, or hope they recognize me in videos. And even then, some people still never get it through their heads. I have commonly heard the term disrespect in parenting, by parents of both genders. It did seem like such parents also were borderline abusive. My ex, while not physically abusive, frequently brought up that I don't respect him when I didn't support his shitty life choices and incessant smoking, which he knew I hated, and had breathing issues from the start. When I tried to reason, he always turned it into disrespect for him, and it turned into an hour-long spiel about how I'm stifling him. I pretty much began to hate him by the end of the relationship. Forget respect. Now he is free to smoke and make his own mistakes anyway. So I do feel that manipulative people frequently bring this in as a counterattack, while clearly not realizing that respect is something to be earned and maintained.
According to a blog on AmazingMeMovement.com, 15 signs of disrespect in a relationship. My husband, wife doesn't respect me. How many times has your best friend cried on your shoulder about this problem? Or maybe it's been you doing the crying about your partner not respecting you. You're not alone. If you already know and feel that your husband, wife do not respect you, then something must change. One would think that having and maintaining respect in a relationship would be a no-brainer. Unfortunately, such is not the case. We all have to keep in mind that so many of us were raised in toxic environments, and what may seem like chaos to you is perfectly normal for them. Many of us, also, have no idea what respect is, or we never received any. Respect is a tough beast for sure.
It really depends on the kind of respect they're talking about and the tone. The most basic kind of respect should be afforded to everyone. They're alive, don't be a dick. Respecting authority or their role often needs to be earned, but even then, some people just don't. To some degree, and in some fields it's normal to complain about. It's a red flag when it's blatantly a control issue. It's a red flag when they never do anything meaningful to fix it.